Mankind Jack, how you doing, brother?
Akolon, hey man. Well, I was in the middle of lunch, but I saw you talking about specs, and I panicked instantly. I said, "No, lore speculation." And no.
What's your question, Mankind?
Previous one was about Sylvanas, but you talked about her so much that maybe I probably missed half a video or like 2 minutes in which you addressed that. So, my current question to keep it like up to date with dragons would be, since it's I'm forgetting the name of the black dragons. I always do like the time traveling one.
Are you talking about Rathian, or are you talking about...
No, the time travelers, the ones.
Oh, Nozdormu, the bronze dragonflight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since they already tried to change a lot of the past with Thrall and everything, my question would be, how would we even know if they actually won? If like they won with Thrall and he was dead, then we would instantly not know. Everything would be absolutely different.
Yeah.
And at the same time, can they just undo everything we've done? Like, can they even save the jailer at this point? Because the fight in reality and then, I guess, game logic was incredibly hard, and we won by the skin of our teeth and so on. So if they were there, they could stop it. And I think that can be said about all the major ending expansions, like
Yeah.
even Gul'dan, everything. So if they had their part in that, would tip the balance in whichever side they wanted. So how is not everything we've done incredibly fragile at the moment, and how would we know if we lost?
Time travel in World of Warcraft is a really weird thing. I'm going to use some examples from the real world, because we know that time travel is at least loosely based on sort of real world time dimension theory, and then some of the canonical lore stuff. So the way time travel in World of Warcraft works, as I understand it, we first have our timeline, which canonically is the true timeline. That's the one that Azeroth and its denizens run on. Then you have the whole timeline from the start of time all the way to the end of time. You also have different timelines, dimensions, running this way. So you basically have a shit ton of timelines this way and a shit ton of timeline like this way, right? And you can travel from the point that you are now into the future or into the past or up and down, right? So into different dimensions, and then from there also forward or back. So you can effectively influence as many timelines as you want based on what it is you want to do. This is why the infinite Dragonflight is destroying timelines, because as they're destroying the timelines, it actually weakens the Dragonflights on the real timeline, because the Dragonflights on all of the timelines are connected to the main timeline. And so as they kill them, the dragons are actually weakened. And I realize this sounds incredibly convoluted, but that's why time travel is such a fuck up. Insofar as, could they go back and change a specific event in the world? Absolutely they can. They can absolutely do that. So Chromie or Nozdormu can take us back in time to the fucking beginning of World of Warcraft, right? Literally the beginning of Azeroth, to even before the Black Empire existed. They could do that because they do have control over the timeways, thanks to the blessing from Aman'Thul. Because of that blessing, they have this ability to see all of the timelines and move in between them. Now, there's two theories as to what happens when we travel in time. So if we travel in time, so let's say Chromie took us back to before we defeat Zovaal, and then Chromie and the Dragonflight stop us from being able to defeat Zovaal. The one theory suggests that the timeline is now rewound to this point. We do not kill Zovaal, and then the timeline moves forward again with Zovaal not being dead. I don't believe that. I believe in the second theory, which suggests when they rewind time, they are actually creating a new timeline. So the timeline that we were on, where Zovaal was killed, now moves one layer up, and this new timeline now becomes the main timeline, right? Because Azeroth is effectively the thing that links or creates the main real timeline. It's where Azeroth is. So they're effectively not time traveling as much as just moving timelines away from the real one. So thinning it out, as it were. That's my own theory of how time works in World of Warcraft. I believe that time, right at the start of things, there were just one timeline. And as beings fucked with the timeline, they created multiple timelines. And these multiple timelines sort of exist everywhere. And just gets worse and worse. For that to happen, though, Blizzard would almost definitely show us. I do not believe that Blizzard would let something like a time fuckery. So if Chromie and the Bronze Dragonflight were to manipulate time, I do not think that Blizzard would just let that not be known to us. Unless, of course, they wanted to use that as a future story plot point. But then we would have to have seen Chromie there, actively changing the timelines, as it were. We would have to have seen something in the story that suggests that there may be some timey-wimey stuff happening. Which, as far as I'm aware, none of that was present during the defeat of Zovaal. This is why it's difficult to answer the question. So I can't give you a concrete answer, because the real answer is yes, they could absolutely fuck with time and undo everything that we have done. What I can say is this is why I hate time travel stuff, because you can change anything, you can do anything when it comes to time travel. This is why a lot of games that do embrace time travel tend to do it in some sort of endless loop or closed loop time travel. One of the best examples here would be the Alexander raid in Final Fantasy XIV. So that entire raid is time travel. But it's also time travel in a bubble. It's closed loop. It does not affect anything else in the world. It only affects that one raid and everything, all the events that happen within that one raid. And the time travel sort of explains why you can redo the Alexander raid as many times as you want, because it's trapped in an endless loop, so to speak. Yeah, I know that that's not the answer you were looking for, but I don't know how to give you an answer that would be satisfactory.
Yeah, me neither. Like, the only explanation, I mean, the only conclusion that I think we can take out of not having more instances where they intervene is that we're doing things according to their plan, or else they would have intervened.
Not just that, there is actually another reason for it. Fucking with time is not something they do lightly. So I'm gonna give you just an example of what can happen when you fuck with time. There is a prophecy. Nozdormu saw his own defeat. He saw the day that he dies. This is Nozdormu, the aspect of the Bronze Dragonflight. He saw the day that he was going to die, the day that he became the Bronze Dragon aspect. The day that he dies is also the day that he becomes Morozond. Why? Because for some reason, reasons that he does not understand yet, but for some reason, he will refuse to die. So in the moment that he is supposed to accept his death, he's going to change the timeline. So he's going to fuck with the timeline to rewind to before he died. That fuckery is what turns him into Morozond. So every single time the Bronze Dragonflight fucks with time, there is a chance that they screw something up, that they change something in a way that wasn't meant to be done. This is why they don't engage in willy-nilly time travel. Because willy-nilly time travel can lead to massive implosions in the timeline. Because, well...
On that note, do you know, because I certainly don't, who kills him or who's supposed to kill him? It's probably us.
From what I understand, we don't know what kills him. I can't remember, though. This is years ago that I actually read this lore. So I really can't remember, but I don't remember ever knowing what kills him. Just that he is at the literal moment of his death, he decides to rewind. Now, we got to see the end of Morozond in the End Time dungeon. This was in all the way back in Cataclysm, right? We got the End Time dungeon. This is where Nozdormu is already Morozond, and we go and we kill him, and Nozdormu tells us, thank you for doing this, but it will happen again. I'm going to turn into Morozond again. They never actually show us how he turns into Morozond. They literally just showed us in the end time dungeon how we kill Morozond. So we do know that the end of Morozond is us. We kill him eventually. The thing that turns Nozdormu into Morozond, I believe that's still sort of anyone's fucking guess at this point. If I were to wager a guess, I would say probably something akin to Galakrond, because how do you actually defeat a dragon that can literally change time? Something on the level of Galakrond could probably do that. But yeah, from a lore perspective, you wouldn't be able to kill Nozdormu, because as soon as he gets to low health, he just rewinds and then let's go again, right? So it could be really difficult to take him down. But then that is also the thing that turns him into Morozond. So it's a complete fuck up.
Yeah.
But that's Gyarados. That is actually, by the way, the thing that I think is the most interesting. And I actually discussed that in my video that I uploaded on Friday. Morozond, when we kill him in the end time dungeon, says the following. He says, "You know not what you have done. Amanthul, what I have seen." So for whatever happened to Nozdormu, whatever Morozond saw is the reason I believe that Nozdormu turned into Morozond because of something he saw at the moment of his death. And this is what pushes him to become Morozond, because Nozdormu doesn't want to be Morozond. But he turns into Morozond because of something he saw, I believe, literally at the moment of his death. And that's why he decides to, because Morozond, just for anyone that doesn't know, Morozond is the aspect of the infinite Dragonflight. The infinite Dragonflight wants to destroy all timelines and also kill all of the other aspects. So Morozond saw something that the other aspects were doing that literally drove him to destroying all of them as well as all of the timelines. Whatever the fuck that is, I do not know. Stolly, you said you have your hand up.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to add to you saying that fucking with time is probably, a bad idea in universe, and I feel like a good example of that is even when someone wants to fuck shit up and they're not the infinite Dragonflight. Like, look at I don't remember the guy's name, but whoever freed Garrosh. Like, why didn't he just go back time, and snatch him there? Or change the timeline in the back? No, he grabbed him in the future and brought him back into a different, universe timeline.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
So they are not changing the actual real timeline. They are afraid of doing that.
Yeah, we generally speaking, I think not even Amanthul. Just okay, so here is how you know that they're not gonna fuck around with the main timeline, the timeline that we know is the real one. Even Amanthul, after ripping Yisaraj out of Azeroth and almost killing Azeroth, did not reverse time to before ripping Yisaraj out of the planet. Because the main timeline has to be preserved. So what Stolly said there is absolutely correct. They will go to other timelines and fuck around with things or fix things, or if Zovaal had to live, they might go to another timeline where Zovaal does live and pull him into our timeline and now put him there, right? So that he can still live. But they will very rarely, if ever, just move back on the real timeline to, whatever moment in time they want to go change. So yeah, it's sort of like when it comes to the whole Nozdormu Morozond storyline, I believe that we are going to see whatever the final blow for Nozdormu is. We're going to see that this expansion. We know that it is at the hour of his death that Nozdormu becomes Morozond, so something has to happen here in this expansion that either pits us against Nozdormu for some reason or other, or something threatens Nozdormu to the point where he is on his deathbed and then decides to basically put an end to everything. That's, of course, if Blizzard doesn't go ahead and just change the lore, which could also happen, right? So
They would never do that to us. No, they would. To end on a joke, do you think there's a timeline out there where the heroes actually have good player housing?
yes, I think so. I think there is multiple timelines in World of Warcraft where player housing exists and where everyone has their own house and people are building beautiful mansions in the sky, and you can go visit people's houses, and there's even guild housing that's happening, and guilds can actually raid each other's houses and do massive PvP battles, castle sieges and things. I think all of that is happening in one of the timelines of WoW. Definitely. It has to, right?